United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Reardon will step in for Ms. Silver, who's going to be late, you're a voting member.
Okay.
Acceptance of the minutes of last month. Anybody have any corrections?
I have one correction that I spoke.
Yes, go right ahead. Yeah.
At the last meeting, I was asking a lot of questions of the applicant for the 40 by 60. And at the end of the paragraph, it stated that, let's see if I can catch this now. Basically what it was is we had an applicant that was looking to put 8 vehicles in this 40 by 60 building. And we only allowed for 4. So I had a bunch of questions to determine what size the building actually was, how high it was, because he was using stackers. So I mentioned to him that basically he has the potential of putting 20 vehicles in this building, which is considerably more than we allowed at 4. And you stated in here at the end of the paragraph that I stated that it could easily house a lot more than 8 vehicles, and I would like that to be changed to basically, I mentioned 20 vehicles, and he didn't have an issue with that, so he understood that that's what it could potentially hold.
Any questions?
Was he changing something? I have a question. So were you changing something?
Yes, I wanted to state,
On page 4, the end of the first paragraph. At the top of page 4.
Yeah,
At the
okay.
end of the first paragraph, it just changed that to up to 20 vehicles.
I mean, I wasn't here, so I'm just asking. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm
Yep, yep,
asking
yep.
what you were trying to change.
Yep, yep.
Are there any other changes? Ms. Reardon?
Maybe I wasn't clear with the last thing I sent you, Jim. On the page 6, the paragraph that starts with Mr. Russell, or now starts with Mr. Russell. I believe it was Mr. Sylvia that said everything in that paragraph except that last line, which I believe Mr. Russell said. So if you think that you said
Yeah,
that
no,
whole
I
paragraph,
said
that's
all
fine.
of that stuff. I basically
Okay.
said all that stuff, yeah, I did.
Okay. Then I remove my suggestion of amendment.
Someone want to make a motion to accept the minutes as adjusted?
I can't. Oh, yes, I can. So moved. I move that we accept them as amended.
Okay. Did somebody second it?
Second.
Okay. Jim, want to take a poll, please?
Yeah.
Mr. Gibbs,
Yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Yes.
Ms. Reardon,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes?
and Mr. Kozak.
Yes. Okay. Selectman Robert Machad.
Could I,
I'm sorry.
while we're at minutes, if you don't mind, it's not on here, so this is out of order, out of business, whatever you want to call it. But the minutes from March 5th, some of what happened at that meeting, which I was at, didn't show up in what you approved on the 2nd when I wasn't here. So I don't know, that was the night we had no recording, things weren't working right, but I made a lot of comments about the escrow accounts, making sure the applicant got a quarterly report, that we should get either monthly or quarterly reports, and none of that made it anywhere. So I'd like to look at those minutes. We don't have them here, but at our next meeting, I'd like to look at them and talk about what I wrote
Change,
down,
okay.
because I did write it all down.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Mr. Machad? Before you start, could you tell us why you're here?
Because he's a selectman.
If it has anything to do with the 6 different issues, I have a comment to make for the board before you talk. Selectman Machad asked, is that what you're going to speak about?
I'm going to speak about a few things, Jack.
Okay.
So I'll say my piece, and then you can say your piece.
Well, no, it has direct meaning in what you're going to say. You're going to talk about the 6 issues that we're going to work on.
Jack, what I'm going to do is I'm going to address some of the questions that you had. Listen to me, Jack. Don't interrupt. I listened to you, now you listen to me. And I'm going to do it in the matter of fact to what I can and can't do, because some of which would end up having to go into an RSA non-public meeting. So I will address some of the information that was not handed out to you when you received those packets is what I'm going to do. Okay, so that it'll give you a little bit more information so that when you're deciding and you look at it and you go into your non-public about the legal aspect of things, you can weigh it all and be informed. Because if you always hear me when I speak, an informed person is an equipped person to make an intelligent decision, okay? So again, my name's Bob Marchand. I'm the sitting chair of the Select
Excuse
Board
me.
of the Town of Newton.
Excuse me, let me ask you a question. The 6 items that I had typed up and I gave to you to say, okay, you said those were fine. That's what I gave out to the board last month, and that's what they're going to be working on tonight. The resolution of those to come up with modifications, suggestions, and so forth. So I do want to get this out. Selectman Machad asked to address the board. We should not engage in any dialogue with him as we have no notes or documents to consider in advance. Moreover, this board is autonomous and not under the direction of the select board. Any board comments should be misconstrued or taken out of context. Keep that in mind, people. Thank you.
That's wrong. The Board of Selectmen govern us.
No, they don't.
No.
They absolutely do. The
Very
moderator
honest.
puts, actually, I have it all written down. I don't want to start a fight here. But the Board of Selectmen is the governing body, the prudential governing body of the town. They can attend these meetings, they can make comments, they can't vote on anything, but we report to them. Anything to do with any implications of town budgets, projects, developing plans, they have all their input that we need to take. It's not like planning board, that's different. ZBA is not planning board, that's all I want to say. Sorry.
Thank you. So, good evening,
not?
Zoning Board of Adjustments, and thank you for your time this evening. So, there's a few things, your last meeting had been brought to my attention, and I was requested that I should watch it for a few issues. One of which was when Jack, like he said, he handed out the flyers. So what I'm gonna do is just, like I say, give you a little bit more information, as much as I can give to you, put it out there so that you can weigh it when you're making your decisions. That's all. I'm not trying to force feed you anything, telling you what you have to do, just supplying you with information. So the first thing is that the Board of Selectmen is not trying to reduce Mr. Doggett's hours, all right? That's an outright lie. Anybody and whoever's been spreading that rumor has been spreading a lie. Mr. Doggett's hours, if you look for the Planning Board and the Zoning Board of Adjustments, Monday and Thursday, both days, the Planning Board hours are from 10 to 4. From 4 to 5, he has an hour for ZBA. 2 days a week. What we had talked about was, because we are in a default budget also, and part of what Ms. McCarthy was trying to tell you is, it's imperative that we watch the bottom line of the town and spend money where it more appropriately is needed, okay? So we had talked with Mr. Doggett, because he is a town employee, about his hours. And the town administrator had talked to him about coming here when he noticed that some of the meetings that you people were in and out of here for 15 minutes, but yet there was 4 hours logged in for that night of the meeting, okay? That is not copacetic. And I'm gonna leave that at that, okay? And that's where the hours started to arise in questions, and that's just in one area. So some of the other things is what we're doing, it if you watched the meeting last night, which you couldn't have on Zoom, but if you watched it live, and what we've been doing with the planning board, and I'm sure with you, is the need to constantly go over and update some of the things that are in the procedures, right, for all the boards, because some of them become outdated and whatever. So some of the suggestions that we had put forth was what Jack was talking to you about. And a perfect example that we didn't even bring up, that we talked about at the planning board the last meeting, which Ms. White can attest to, is the, when somebody from town, right, an applicant comes before you and they need to have a hearing, there is no longer a need by law for it to be posted in a newspaper, okay? As long as it's posted in 2 places, which one could be the town website, the other one can be down the post office like we do, right? That would save the applicant, right now, the Lawrence Eagle Tribune, which is the cheapest, is $188. So that would save the applicant almost $200 simply by reviewing that and changing that. And we're talking about, in most cases, especially with the ZBA, you're dealing with a lot of the townspeople, and I'm sure they would appreciate the extra $200 in their pocket, which would be an electric bill, put food on their table or whatever, right? Or help pay for whatever it is that they're trying to do. So that would be one issue that you might want to look at. The other one that we talked about was the MyLars. Mr. Gibbs, you brought up a few things about it, and I'll say this about the MyLars. So we talked about the MyLars, and it will not impede a Mylar from getting signed by having the applicant actually take it himself or herself to the registry. And as a matter of fact, it would quicken the process, because if it does not get signed, then the applicant would already have it in their possession, be able to take it back to who's ever doing their MyLars for them, and have the MyLars corrected, and then be able to bring it right back to get signed, and then go back to the registry and do it. However, when Mr. Doggett does it, he brings it, it doesn't get signed, he comes back here with it, it sits here till the applicant can come, retrieve it, then go bring it to get fixed and corrected, then bring it back to get signed, then given to Mr. Doggett, to where it might be a Friday when they drop it off and he doesn't show up till Monday. Or if they bring it on a Tuesday, he doesn't show up to Thursday to come and get it. And then you have to take into consideration the hours that Mr. Doggett spends. The travel to and from, the amount of time that he sits at that registry waiting to get that MyLar recorded, to where better use of his time would be in that office doing what he needs to do, which is what we pay him for. Okay? That's one. The other issue that we talked about was the notices, right, for public hearings. We suggested that you could, as we're doing on the planning board, because I'm also the ex officio and I sit on that, that's why I have some knowledge about it, and like I said, Ms. White does too. Again, your local town applicant a resident of the town that's just wants to do something on their property, whether it's an addition, an oversized shed, or whatever, right? When they need to do the notifications and send them out certified mail, they're only gonna have a handful of people, right, for their neighbors that they're gonna have to actually issue them to, which would take Mr. Doggett a few minutes to be able to do and get them. So we would still be being of service to the average Joe of the town, all right? However, it's the people that come in and they're gonna put a 7-house lot in, or any other big construction company that's gonna come in and do a development somewhere, to where now you're talking, they have the needs and the capability to be able to handle those Mylars on their own, because they have a wealth of people behind them that are driving what it is that they're doing from a paperwork standpoint, right? Mr. Doggett would be able to provide them with the email, with the mailing list that would be required. Those people could fill them out, because as Mr. Doggett would tell you, that when he needs to fill out 20 to 30 or whatever it is, he's got it down to a science, but it still takes him like at least 3 minutes, Jim?
6 minutes per.
6 minutes per, all right? So now you talking, if he's got to do 20 of them, that's 2 hours of his time simply filling out those to send them out. The applicant, when they do it, would be able to resubmit the copies of when they get mailed, the certified cards, back to the ZBA and/or the planning board, who's ever required, as proof that it was done. And again, by law, the applicant is the one responsible for those, all right? Not the town of Newton. We are simply overseeing and trying to make sure that that is addressed and that that does get taken care of, that all the surrounding people that abut the property receive them. But by law, that is up to the applicant to make sure that they are mailed and issued before the public hearing. What else was there? Now, this is the key thing. So those are the couple things I wanted to touch upon. But there was something that struck a nerve with me when I watched, and it happened at 1 hour and about 16 minutes into your show. And I was appalled by the lack of your chairperson and everybody else that sat at that meeting. You had one of your board members drop the F-bomb more than once. And not one of you sat up and addressed that.
You're wrong.
I watched the video.
I was sitting right next to Mary, and Mary said something to him. You might not have picked it up on the video, but she actually made a statement.
Well, it wasn't loud enough for the public to hear it.
That's right, but I want you to know that she did make that statement.
Well,
She did.
I never heard
Thank
it.
you for that.
Well, thank you, Mary. But like I said, it wasn't on the video, as far as audible on the video.
'Cause I didn't notice it.
Did anybody, how many people heard it here?
Terrible.
I didn't notice it.
I didn't either, yeah.
I heard it clear as day.
I don't doubt that it was there, because
And the problem I have with this is that whether we're elected officials, whether we're appointed officials, or whether we're somebody that's just serving the town of Newton, the residents of this town are entitled to and deserve to have professionalism and integrity in all those people that are serving them. And like I said, I was horrified when I heard that. And that is now streaming on YouTube live, even though Jamie, our cable guy, was able to edit it and take it off of when it runs around town. Not only like when Mr. Kozak works at his other position for the town down at the transfer station, or any one of you decide that you want to go on Facebook or be a warrior on social media, everybody needs to remember that whether it's here or there, you represent this town of Newton. And there is a level, like I just said, of integrity and professionalism that must be upkept in all manners when we walk our walk for the residents of this town. And I, for one, and I can tell you the rest of the select board is right behind me, will not stand or tolerate such conduct in any meeting. We will take the steps to remove those persons that are involved and do not hold themselves to that level of professionalism with that type of integrity. And I don't care if we gotta take it to the judicial court, the Supreme Court, which there are provisions to have somebody removed. We will do so. Again, I want to thank you for your time. I gave you some information that you can use when you think about the other stuff. And again, please think about what I said about the professionalism and integrity. And if anybody, whether it's here or any other board in town or any other person that's sitting out there, looks in the mirror and says, I can't live up to that, then with all respect, please step down and step aside. We'll find somebody who can. Because I'd rather have nobody in that position than have somebody that's not going to uphold those levels. Thank you very much,
Mr.
Board.
Marchand?
Appreciate your time.
Can I make a comment to you, please?
Sure.
I think you're grandstanding right now. I'm going to tell you the reason why. You told us who that person was. That person is not here this evening. Who are you to give us advice?
I didn't tell you who it was.
We know who it was, and they're not here. If you want to address that individual, you address that individual. The rest of us were not involved in that.
You most certainly were. You were sitting there. Mary was the only one that I'm told that addressed it.
Well,
And
what-
again, it was not audible on the thing, so that the rest of the townspeople, when they watched it, would have heard something. So at that point, they know nothing. And I did hear an apology from that person when they did it after they were talked to out loud, audible, to the public. So I am not grandstanding. And I'm not going to get into a debate with it. We can have a discussion privately if you want at some other point.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just want the record to show that at the meeting, I did not notice any inappropriate language. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying I did not notice it.
I didn't hear it either.
Oh, my
I
God.
did not hear it. I definitely would have spoke up if I heard it. I did not hear it. Yep.
Do you guys watch the videos at all afterwards?
No, I did
It
not.
was on the video. It was terrible.
No.
Somebody, I did hear somebody, there was a woman's voice. Joe Aiello, Selectman Newton. There was a woman's voice as soon as John started swearing. I'm not sure if it was Barbara or if it was Mary, but they said, we're still going on, there's a meeting still going on. That was the only correction I heard after that, but nobody at the rest of the table said anything about it.
Well, Roger, and you and I did not hear it. I want to go on record as not hearing it, because I definitely would have stood up and said something, you know, I tell you.
You can watch the video too.
I'm not claiming that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the reason I did not respond is because I didn't notice it.
Definitely, same here.
I was sitting here, I didn't hear it either until after the fact.
All right, we're going to go into non-public. Would you make a motion there?
I'll make a motion to go into non-public under 91-A:3L, consideration of legal advice provided by legal counsel, either in writing or orally, to one or more members of the public body, even where legal counsel is not present.
You hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Actually, Mr. Kozak,
What time?
one of your seated members has to make the motion.
Okay, I can't make the motion because I'm not a seated member.
Okay.
Yeah, I will make that motion.
Was there a second?
Second.
You want to take a roll call, please?
Mr. Gibbs,
Aye.
Ms. McCarthy,
Aye.
Mr. Hamel,
All right,
Ms. Reardon,
Aye.
and Mr. Kozak.
Aye.
That's unanimous. At 7:27.
We are going to move to the
I don't know
back.
if we have enough chairs back there. Did you look?
Jim, did you check how many chairs is out there?
The red light's still on.